Born in Boone, Iowa on November 14, 1896, Mary Geneva Dowd was the second child born to John Sheldon Dowd, a meatpacking executive. She grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and the Dowd Winter Home in San Antonio, Texas. Soon after completing her education at Walcott School for Girls, she met Dwight Eisenhower in San Antonio, Texas, in October 1915. The two hit it off at once, as Eisenhower invited Miss Dowd to accompany him on his rounds. On St. Valentine's Day in 1916, he gave her a miniature of his West Point class ring to seal a formal engagement. Lieutenant Dwight Eisenhower, age 25, married Mamie Dowd, age 19, on July 1st, 1916. Following the wedding, the newlyweds honeymooned a few days at El Dorado Springs, Colorado, and then visited the groom's parents in Abilene, Kansas, before settling into the lieutenant's living quarters at Fort Sam Houston. The Eisenhowers had two sons. Dowd Dwight was born on September 24, 1917, but died of scarlet fever on January 2, 1921. A second son, John Sheldon Dowd Eisenhower, was born on August 3, 1922, and survived well into adulthood. For years, Mamie Eisenhower's life followed the pattern of other Army wives: a succession of posts in the United States, in the Panama Canal Zone, duty in France, and in the Philippine Islands. Mamie adjusted readily and joined her husband in moving 28 times before their retirement. After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Dwight was assigned to the General Staff in Washington, D.C., where he served until June 1942 with responsibility for creating the major war plans to defeat Japan and Germany. They lived in Washington, D.C. during this time. Following the German unconditional surrender, Dwight Eisenhower was appointed military governor of the American occupation zone, located primarily in southern Germany and headquartered in Frankfurt. Dwight Eisenhower ran for the office of U.S. President and defeated Democratic candidate Adlai Stevenson II in a landslide, making the first Republican return to the White House in 20 years. As First Lady, Mamie was a gracious hostess and was noted for her outgoing manner, her love for pretty clothes, jewelry, and her obvious pride in husband and home. The Mamie look involved a full-skirted dress, charm bracelets, pearls, little hats, and bobbied banged hair. Mamie's fondness for a specific shade of pink, often called First Lady or Mammy Pink, kicked off a national trend for pink clothing, housewares, and bathrooms. In 1958, Mrs. Eisenhower was reported to be the first person to initiate Halloween decorations to be put up in the White House. In 1961, Mamie retired with the former president to their first permanent home, adjacent to the battlefield at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. In 1967, the Eisenhowers donated the Gettysburg farm to the National Park Service. Mamie appeared in a campaign commercial for her husband's former Vice President Richard Nixon in 1972. David Eisenhower, her grandson, married Richard Nixon's daughter Julia on December 22, 1968. Mamie Eisenhower suffered a stroke on September 25, 1979. She was then rushed to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, where her husband had died a decade before. Mamie remained in the hospital. She died in her sleep very early the morning of November 1st, days before her 83rd birthday.